In an off season where a lot of guys that played football at Georgia are making money, one guy to not forget and leave off your list is Channing Tindall. And I mean, quite frankly, it was easy to forget about Channing after his time at Georgia the first couple of seasons. He did not have as explosive a time as he did in this past season. And let me tell you what, that guy really played well his last year. I mean, he played 50 games at Georgia, but now he's really opening eyes. And at the Senior Bowl in Mobile, he got the eye of Daniel Jeremiah, and he got a huge comparison here. And I think everybody knows who Patrick Willis is. He played at Mississippi and went on to play for the Niners, I think it was. Was a great linebacker in the NFL. This is what Daniel Jeremiah had to say about Channing Tindall. Now, listen, Channing Tindall came to Georgia from Columbia. He was a very highly touted guy, and well, anyway, we'll talk about that more in a second. He said that loaded Georgia defense, they have a play style and it is aggressive. It carries over to special teams. He was talking about on a punt situation here where Channing gets down the field pretty fast. He says, "Watch the effort he gives to make the tackle. He goes down the field in his lane. He's where he's supposed to be, and he is going to bounce outside. You're going to see just how fast he is." Newsflash: very, very fast. Watch him close this angle. That's big time speed from Channing Tindall. And it reminds me of coming to this game as a young scout, and there was a young linebacker from Mississippi. I'm trying to remember his name. Oh, yeah, Patrick Willis. So Patrick Willis was the defensive player of the year. Defensive rookie of the year in 2007. And he was an all pro guy for like 2 or 3 years. This is a guy at Georgia that, you know, really came on late in a huge way. I mean, listen, this Georgia team, if you finished like third in tackles, you were doing pretty well. Channing Tindall finished fourth on a team with the Kobe Dean, Quay Walker, Lewis Seen. These guys were all making these are solo tackles now, okay? Those guys, it was just there was not a lot of space to make tackles because everybody else was making tackles. He also had 7 tackles for loss, of which 5.5 were sacks. 19 quarterback hurries. It's no question. There's no wonder why Channing Tindall is exploding. You can read about Channing and all of his buddies in the book right down below. Make sure you're getting DAWGSTRUCTION. You can still get it in this first batch. It's at the printers right now. I've been updating y'all as we go. It's 80 pages, hardcover, full color. You're going to want to read all these stories about Jordan Davis scoring a touchdown, about Stetson Bennett, JT Daniels, Zamir White. We talk about James Cook's huge game against Tennessee. Channing Tindall had a really good game against Tennessee. Let me move back to Channing. Yeah, he had 6 tackles and 3 sacks in that game. 4 quarterback hurries. The thing about it is, to me, is that there's 2 guys that really prove it to me that what the way this works at Georgia now, which is that if you stay the full time, your full 4 years there, you're probably going to get drafted. Probably, not certainly, but you're probably going to get drafted. And people like me, who cover the team on a day-to-day basis, we forget about guys who aren't superstars. And then all of a sudden, you see guys like, well, I always knew about Devontae, okay? But then all of a sudden, you come into this season, you got Robert Beal leading the team in sacks. Channing Tindall is exploding up, not just at Georgia, but up draft boards. There's just been so many guys who have gotten the job done that are not spotlight guys. And I think it really shows that you're going to have to fight to get on the field. When you do, you're a good player. I mean, you're just not going to get out there. You're just not going to get out there. It's not something that's going to happen. And I think, this Georgia program, Quay Walker, Robert Beal, and Devontae Wyatt, although perhaps less Devontae than these other 2 guys, show that if you continue to work, you will make plays as your time at Georgia goes on. I mean, so Channing's Channing's statistical run was not impressive coming into 2021. I mean, he had 15 total tackles in 2020. He had 60, what is it, 67 tackles this year. That's a lot of tackles. Now he could always rush the passer. That was something he's always been good at. He leaves Georgia with 12 sacks. But it's the quarterback hurries that really pay. Sacks are one thing, but if you can disrupt a quarterback, and quarterback hurries do that, if you can disrupt a quarterback, you can really be problematic for the other team. And just look when he had this. It came on big at the end of the season. The Tennessee game, 4 quarterback hurries. 2 against Tech. They didn't need him against Tech, but okay, he still did it. 3 against Alabama and Atlanta. 2 against Michigan. 5 against Alabama in Indianapolis. I mean, the only game it seems like he really didn't do. There were 2 games kind of that he didn't really. It wasn't unbelievable that you'd notice him. The Clemson game, which he had 3 tackles, not the end of the world, and then the Vanderbilt game where he had 2 tackles and no hurries. I mean, everything else, like against the Gators, 7 tackles, 5 against Mizzou, 4 against Kentucky. Again, the Tennessee game, 8 tackles, 4 quarterback hurries. I just don't know what I mean. His best game, I guess, was Tennessee. But then you fast forward to the national championship game, and here's Tindall out here with 8 tackles, 1.5 for loss, a 14-yard negative for that one, that a sack, and then 5 quarterback hurries. I mean, Bryce Young was running for his life. This is something we talk about in the book a lot, actually. In that national championship game, is Bryce Young just couldn't be himself because he had Bulldogs running him down the entire time. There's no wonder the guy was. I mean, I don't think he was freaking out, but he didn't have the type of performance that he had in Atlanta, and it wasn't because of him exclusively. It was because people were in his grill the entire time. It's not a lot of fun playing sports when you don't have space and time. And you know, the number one thing that you want is space and time. And Bryce Young didn't get any of that. And it was because of Channing Tindall. I'm not surprised he's scooting up these draft boards. I guess he's scooting up. We don't ever know these things. I mean, like, it seems like it and people say stuff, but he had a good Senior Bowl. And then that's coming off a national championship game where he played really well, which is coming off the end of the season where he really played well. He is moving up. He does not have a lot of wear on his tires. He's a guy that could play in the league, and you don't have to super worry about durability with him in terms of, has he played too much? No, that's not an issue with Channing Tindall. I'm not surprised. This is becoming a thing at Georgia where guys that stick around seem to play their best ball late. Hey, pick up DAWGSTRUCTION today. I'll get it back out to you as fast as I can, which is probably going to be early March. You're not too late for early March. We'll see you over on the website.